Let's get this done.
All right.
Now the last bet I won, I got this delicious peanut butter cup porter. I urge you to drink responsibly. From Point Brewing, Stevens Point, Wisconsin, from Dylan. I thought we could get done in a certain time frame, a video that we needed to get done, and it worked out. Today, again, you've heard me say in a couple other videos, we had to shoot 7 by 3 o'clock, and I still have 14 minutes.
This is just a victory lap now.
So we have to complete this. We completed 5 by noon, which was the goal, and he pays for lunch. My whole goal was just to be able to go to lunch with Dylan and be able to relax, because we do this pretty non-stop with the videos. We kind of get in a roll and go and charge forward. And I'm not trying to shorten you with information, but the list is short here, right here. This is the biggest private land dollar waster. And it's very important to go this, because a lot of times, again, this is almost a failure right here. And like I say all the time, when you learn from other people's failures, you tend to ask why. Why was this a failure? Why did it not work? I just shot a video right before this that required a short list because I want to complete these 5 before noon. So I didn't really have to make a long list. This is not top 10, top 5, that type of thing. It's really boils down to number 1. The number 1 ingredient on private land that you need for your deer habitat and hunting, that you need, and this is on 99% of lands, 98% of lands. Dylan, how many lands have you been to that you didn't recommend a food plot on?
Zero.
Okay. And a lot of times people want us, I mean, we spend the most time during the day discussing resources, planting methods, meaning what are they going to have this year. And I can say honestly that if I go to 100 properties a year, it's probably just 2 or 3 that I wouldn't recommend food plots. I was on one this year. I don't know if it was Kevin Smith was asking me about that. But it was an Ohio property. It was very steep. They had a ledge system. They had some small narrow benches. They did not have room for food that was even flat enough to plant food. It was all a big giant hollow. They had giant bucks in the area, 190 some, and they're doing it all with bait piles and feeders. And on that property, if that's the food source they need, they have to have consistency. This person was spending a lot of money, probably what I do in food plots a year, or some of you, but he's doing it with feeders, and it's legal there. And as long as you treat the feeders like a food plot, and you treat the food plot like a feeder, then everything's gonna be good, meaning you don't spook deer off it. But the number 1 need on private land is a food plot. At the same time, the biggest dollar waster on private land is a food plot. And I want to explain that a little bit, because with a food plot, we can go through all the expenses. Obviously, fertilizer, lime, we use Plot Start, Plot Boost, your seed, the chemicals. Herbicide this year is terrible. I just bought a bunch of jugs of glyphosate, 2.5 gallon jugs that I will need for the entire year, because it sounds like they're going up in price. It's $31 last year for a 2.5 gallon jug at the same place. It's $125 this year. Giant leap. I've heard before, yeah, herbicide's going up, and you go to it's $50. Well, for what you're spending for everything else, the land lease, that $20 a jug that kills 5 acres at a time is not that expensive. But I'd buy 12 jugs for my personal use, and that went from $31 to $125. It's a big expense for the year. And I didn't want to eat that all at once, but I did. Clearing the land, bulldozing. There's a lot of expenses that come with food plots. Probably the biggest form of expense. People screen it. They'll put deer blinds right on top of it. Biggest expense for the land, but at the same time, it's also the most attractive portion of your land. Far more attractive than clear cuts on your land, apple trees, hard regeneration, acre per acre, square foot for square foot. It's going to be what attracts the most deer in the smallest location on your property, even more than a water hole. Water holes aren't going to get consistent use if you don't have that food plot on your land to actually keep deer there every single day during the season. Why are they going to go hit that water hole just randomly over there? When you create these food plots and you don't manage for your hunter access, getting in and out of tree stands, for deer hearing your noise, for keeping deer from smelling when you go to and from and on your property. And I'm talking during hunting season. The rest of the portion of the time, it doesn't really matter. I've had clients with dirt bike tracks. They ride horses on their land. They go on family picnics. They have bass ponds. The list is long, endless for things that you can do in the off season that will not affect your deer herd during the fall, because those deer shouldn't be there in the off season at that time. But if you're creating food plots and it's at highest attraction, you're planting good stuff for the fall, and then you go spook those deer off those plots. You haven't managed your scent, your sound, your sight to those deer. Then you're creating a nocturnal herd. And that's where the value of your entire investment in land go right down the tubes. So it's not just the money that you spent on the food plots. It's a diminished value of your overall recreational enjoyment for your hunt, your herd, your goals, your dreams. You bought the property because you want to have great hunting property. No one buys it to say, hey, I want to just take care of buckthorn. I want to remove invasives. I want to plant food plots. I don't care if we shoot any deer or see any deer. I just want to do what's great for the land. No one usually buys land. That's what it usually evolves into. Most of the time when I hear someone, we're taking a holistic approach to the entire property. We're going to bring it back to this or back to this. It means they're not shooting many deer. They don't have a lot of deer. They've kind of given up on the hunting dreams, and it's turned into just taking care of the land and the wildlife, which is cool. I think you can do it all at once, and that's what I teach people to do. I teach balance. You can do all of this all at the same time. That's what your goal should be. So when you're creating food plots and you're not managing your sight, your sound, your scent, you're pushing deer off your land, you're creating nocturnal herd, that means those bucks that are around the area, the mature bucks, I've seen properties where they have food plots, they have a bad food plot system, they spook deer off them either by hunting on them or walking by them during the morning or afternoon, middle of the day, they're spooking deer, where they'll see a diminishing return to where 2 or 3 years in, first year a lot of times new food plots are great. Second, third year, you're getting a little bit less used to the point where the deer herd's becoming nocturnal, especially after those first couple sits. And then those mature bucks that are coming in the middle of the night, you don't even see them anymore. So your neighbors just a half mile away or one property over are shooting mature bucks you never even had on trail camera. You didn't have them during the summer, you didn't have them in the fall, because those mature bucks, they're the wary ones. They're the ones that look at it like, I don't want to be on your property during the daylight. And if I'm not on your property during the daylight, why do I even incorporate your property as part of my overall territory in the first place? They're just not coming onto your land, not only during the daylight, but at night after 5, 6 years. Huge diminishing return, and it was all caused by the food plot. If you're going to spook deer off your food plots, the value of the food plot, even though it is your number one deer hunting and herd ingredient, habitat ingredient that you can have on your land, should be gotten rid of. Get rid of your food plots if they're creating the opportunity for a nocturnal herd on your property. You want a daylight herd. And again, deer don't move that far during the daylight. Mature buck in an average area in the country will move 400, 500 yards or less. If it's a big open ag area where there's not a lot of cover, he might move 200 yards. He's not moving a long ways during the daylight. So when you think about that, even small properties, 30-acre property that we hunt, 30 acres of cover where we can actually hold deer in Wisconsin can be used because they're not moving that far to get to that afternoon food source. And if you're managing the risk level to them, to the deer on that food source, then they're going to focus during the daylight on your food plot every single day. And that's where really, really good things happen. At the same time, again, if you're not managing that level of risk, if you're putting deer off of your land during the daylight and they're only coming nocturnal, and what I mean by nocturnal is they're coming 2 hours after darkness, middle of the night, 2 hours before it gets daybreak, not within half hour, 45 minutes, somewhere around there, then you're doing way more harm than good with those food plots because you're not even creating a quality herd. You can't create a quality herd after dark. You can't manage. You can't attract, hold, advance to the next age class, or hunt if they're not on your land during the daylight. And that's why not only the cost of the food plot, and cost comes in two forms, time and money, not just money, but the time, money it takes to put those food plots in, and the cost of the overall value of your land, ATVs, resources, tree stands, blinds. There's so much more money you can spend with food plots being about your highest, then boy, you're taking from a lot of other areas where you have a lot of value stuck into. And that's why food plots are not only have the potential to be your biggest money waster on your land, but they are definitely a need on your land. So it's important to do it right. We have our food plot web class. I encourage you to check that out. It's 30 videos long, comes with a workbook, helps you assess your own needs and balances for your land. Have over 200 food plot videos on this channel. I encourage you to use them, learn how to do it right, and you'll love food plots for the rest of your life. You'll enjoy the herd and hunting success that you can receive not only for decades to come, but for right now this season, because it only takes one summer to turn things around when it comes to food plots and attracting deer to your land during the daylight. Did I make it, Dylan? Did I make it?
You made it. You made it.
How much time?
With 4 minutes to spare.
Could have talked for longer. What? thank you guys for watching. Dylan and I do have fun shooting those. To show you, shooting these videos, we made it before noon, but we'll be able to go have some lunch. But Dylan, actually, it was funny yesterday, we were shed hunting. Dylan does not like shed hunting. We like finding sheds on land. And what'd you say when you compared what you'd rather be doing than shed hunting?
I would rather just film Jeff with these videos outside. Like, it's you know, if I'm going to spend a nice day outside in the woods, might as well be filming these videos.
Yeah, and we still get to look around. Even,
yeah, still have a great time, hear the birds, all that.
And a lot of times we'll go off to a little area, like a bedding area.
And we'll find a shed.
Yeah, it's crazy. Literally, we're shooting a video, and I looked over, and it was one of our best sheds for the year. It was just right down here, about 200 yards from the house, down in our new switchgrass field. It was just off to the side, laying there while we were shooting the video, in a spot we'd driven by umpteen times, walked by, looked for sheds, and it was just laying right there like it'd been there for weeks, and we just missed it, which I think is what happened. But yeah, let alone new stand locations. Dylan and I love to strategize with Dylan. Been doing that for a long time, where we can look at a tree and say, we need to have a stand right there, a water hole here. We develop those concrete plans. So I'm kind of with you, Dylan.
Okay.
So, but anyways, look forward to some lunch pretty soon, and it's going to be on Dylan. Folks, I want to make sure you check out my web class video series, whether it's how to design your food plot program or how to design your property in general. And we have a new one coming out that'll be how to hunt the rut. But these bucks back here are a testament. Some of these bucks go back to 93. They're even in different states. I urge you to check out those web classes so that you can help yourself, help your land, help your hunt. The link is in the description. And also for those that have tried them out, I encourage you to offer some feedback in the comments below. Thank you.